We're making great progress. Welcome back to part 2 of ROSeDS. I'm so glad you're here. Believe it or not, at this point, you probably know more about social dynamics than you think you do. We have been through the universe from microelements to biology, the solar system, and galaxies. We have seen the use of natural curves to spirals to spheres naturally and in human-made objects. Social interactions and structures are as natural as everything else in the universe. Stars, galaxies, and planets attract each other and sometimes collide with explosions. All elements of nature are accelerated and motivated by all of these interactions. Our social structures are formed through reflections of these things to help improve our interactions. There are just as many layers of social spheres as there are material spheres in the universe. We always have options to cooperate to make things better now, or just explode into destruction that will not improve things until the distant future for others who are not living now. Remember to keep in mind that you don't have to know everything here to understand the ROSeDS model. Just seeing a little about how things work in other structures is important. Also, please note that even though some of this presentation is using government and political points to demonstrate social structure, you'll also see other types of social structure topics in this presentation. These are all for the purpose of demonstrating that social structures are very much alike and have the same or similar qualities. By the end of this presentation, you'll see how these things come together and replicate each other's order. The Nolan Chart is a political spectrum diagram created by American libertarian activist David Nolan in 1969. He called it his self-government chart. It is charting political views along two axes, representing economic and personal freedom. Nolan's chart sets libertarian views as opposing authoritarianism, but in reality, authoritarianism is separate from all others. Even a cockroach layout has been used to show another order of displaying social structure. The Nolan chart has been arranged in different ways by different people to accommodate for missing information. Social structures are not to be simplified to fit our own perspectives, but simplified to present as many perspectives as possible. People have seen different parts of social structures in different ways. U.S. voting practices are more alike than different. Even though most people seem to be on different sides of the spectrum, notice that we are all within the same level. That means the levels of our ideas are about the same, even when the layers of our understanding may be different. One thing this chart doesn't show is most of the time our views are more complex and intermix with each other's views. In all honesty, we never have to be as divided as we think we do. We just need to identify what the differences seem to be and see if they really are that much different. They usually aren't. All perspectives include things like economics, employment, customer services, social stability, functionality, social involvement, conflict resolution, and a lot more. Assumptions are made about how social structures work. It takes a variety of interests and views to create social structures. The division between less and more government appears more divided between the two main political views. But the difference isn't in less versus more government. The differences are between control through less interest and effort, compared to control through more interest and effort. Social media in all its forms are social structures. Compass-style social structure models. This is a derivative social structure I assembled from multiple other sources examples. In reality, commerce is part of structures of societies, not on different lines going different directions. And authoritarianism and libertarianism aren't polar opposites. They are definitely different parts of structures, but not opposites. Think about how this model is structured. Here is another type of compass social structure assembled from ideas of multiple sources. Notice that each direction is not just a line, but a field, spreading out across the spectrum of each direction. Again, authoritarianism is not opposite from libertarianism, and they also aren't on the same level. Loyalists and extremists are not likely to be opposites, but are not on the same level either. Economy and culture are not levels, they are intricately connected layers, and you'll see more about that later. What is the axis made up of in this structure? What holds it all together? Here we have a world religions tree that includes religions throughout the world. The entire right side of the tree is Christianity with very different versions of Christian religion throughout. The chart on the left has some 2014 statistics. Here are some statistics of how many adherents are in each religion and what percentage of the world's population they account for. These are from 2020. Christianity, 2.4 billion, 31%. Islam, 2 billion, 25%. Secular, non-religious, agnostic, atheist, 1.2 billion, 16%. Hinduism, 1 billion, 15%. Buddhism, 506 million, 5%. Chinese traditional religion, 394 million, 5%. Ethnic religions, 300 million, 3%. African traditional religions, 100 million, 1.2%. Sikhism, 26 million, 0.3%. Spiritism, 15 million, 0.2%. Judaism, 15 million, 0.2%. Baha, 5 million, 0.07%. Jainism, 4.2 million, 0.05%. Shinto, 4 million, 0.05%. Kaudai, 4 million, 0.05%. Zoroastrianism, 2.6 million, 0.03%. Tenrikyo, 2 million, 0.02%. Animism, 2 million, 0.02%. Neopaganism, 1 million, 0.01%. Unitarian Universalism, 800,000, 0.01%. Rastafari, 600,000, 0.007%. Look at how many social structures there are in the world. Power grids are social structures. City and rural people cooperate to make things the way they need to be. Those are social structures. Then there are these. Pathways through the seas are natural structures where currents flow and help people transport themselves and goods. Land-based pathways interact with waterways. And all of the spheres and interactions through space are structures where our world, solar system, galaxy, and star group takes us on constant paths beyond what we can comprehend. Purpose and order determine whether people have personal choices for our own lives and livelihoods, or if extremes determine to make those choices for us. Any kind of social structure must have some forms of regulation, sovereignty, and accountability. Anything that doesn't allow individuals to decide their own interests and destinies undermines regulation, sovereignty, and accountability because it loses confidence of the population and therefore legitimacy. Confidence of the population is what makes any social structure legitimate. What does all of this narrow down to? What is the meaning and purpose of it all? That is what my super dynamic social stratosphere model is all about. A stable state of order means strong and dynamic, follows rule of law, and is accountable. What does it take to have a stable social structure in government, commerce, religion, and everything else? All of this narrows down to consistency and ideals. That is where my super dynamic social stratosphere comes in. There are so many ways to think about things, imagine the future, and make up for the past. And now I will present the order of the ROSeDS sphere parts, beginning with a new chart to encompass all of the charts shown before. Where is the stable state of order maintained in a sphere? In the middle, polar axis. It holds the direction of the rotation. Everything else depends on the polar axis. The axis ensures the entire sphere is pointed the same direction and rotating in the same direction at all times. Using the circular polar chart, as seen at the top of the sphere, we can see the axis the sphere rotates on is in the center. Layers are represented by lines stretching from the center to the outer edge. Levels are represented by lines circling around the sphere. Let's turn this sphere to see the axis, layers, and levels in their upright position. The polar axis is the center of the sphere. It is the center of rotation that keeps the sphere stable as it moves through space. The polar axis represents order, which is regulation, government, policies, and cultural norms. Layers are the vertical latitude lines of the social stratosphere, extending out from the center axis. Levels are the horizontal lines across going around the sphere. These level longitude lines identify how far up or down on the levels we are looking at. How many layers and levels are there? Globes have 360 primary vertical columns and 180 primary horizontal levels across. The vertical columns relate to the layers of the social stratosphere model. Think of the layers not just as cards hanging on the axis, but as layers of stratospheres that stretch out around the globe, like different kinds of clouds, spaces of atmosphere, and protective magnetic forces. Layers represent patterns of social structure. Levels and layers can be divided into categories and subtopics. Some people think social structures are totally man-made. Some think social structures are invisible, so are totally not man-made. The truth is that social structures are an example of man-made and non-man-made elements coming together. When brought together correctly, these elements make something beautiful. When the two are not coming together well, these elements can degrade the good to make some things awful for people. Levels can be seen as lines across, going around the sphere. As the sublevels develop, the lines multiply and look like a smooth sphere. There are so many levels that each level is almost not distinguishable, but the shade of every level of the sphere is there. 180 rows by globe measurements, but all shades of the layers are there. Just like the globe has major categories of levels within hemispheres, tropics, and frigid zones, the structure of the social stratosphere has major groups of levels. Think of social situations that heat up and cool down. A little more than half the size of the Earth is the hot core in the center. The core is mostly made up of iron. The inner core is a highly pressured solid at less than half the size of the outer core. The outer core is molten lava. The ROSeDS Model significance of the hot tropical levels and even hotter core layers is when social order makes a significant change, all social orders can cause heated opinions and exchanges that can become extreme. The polar ends of social orders are not the extremes, even though they are at opposite ends. The extremes are at the core, where there is conflict and dominance changes hands, regulation becomes lawlessness, sovereignty becomes dominance, and accountability becomes hostility. Whether outside or inside the core, fear, frustration, and anger ignites conflict. This is where winning hearts is much more productive than forcing change. Most people try to avoid pushing people into heated areas of social stratospheres, but it is necessary when conflicts become prevalent. Here is a little more about the layers of the Earth. Look at the layers of the core and ground. The atmosphere, gravity, and magnetism are layers of the Earth too. Each layer has its own functions. The most stable spheres in space have stabilization and protective functions built into the strata layers. Gravity fields depend on the mass of a body, don't create an electrical charge, and weaken farther from the body. Gravity holds structures together as they orbit around each other. Magnetic fields have polarity and are produced by electrical charge from the spinning of the core. Magnetics can attract and resist each other, primarily resisting destructive bodies in space. The Sun also has inner and outer layers, including layers that go far beyond the planets. The Sun is the core of the solar system. It gets hotter going out from the central core, and it gets hotter going inward from the surface. Planetary and asteroid belt orbits are layers of the solar system. Each of them match the orbits that reflect their mass, as well as their placement in conjunction with each other. If the planets weren't here, the orbital layers would still be here. In fact, there are additional orbital layers that are missing their planets. There are constant forces of interstellar winds coming at our solar system all the time. Our sphere structures protect and hold the solar system together. Together we are strong and bold and moving faster beyond anything we can truly comprehend. As with the Earth, the Sun, the planets, and entire solar system, stratosphere layers continue adding up in the layers of our galaxy, the Milky Way. Again, the layers show how the galaxy also collects materials into structures of bodies and assembles them into a core and layers. And beyond all that, there are atmospheric layers of galaxies that are magnetic and gravitational, protecting and collecting, holding order and stability by spinning from the center. Those who study the far reaches of the universe are just beginning to find the secrets of what is out there and how it all works. I'm just guessing that eventually they will find that there is a core and layers, magnetics and gravity, and atmosphere, with collection and protections, and that everything is spinning in ways we have yet to begin to recognize. This is what all existence is about. So this is what social structure is about too.